Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, news for the week of June 27th, 2017, including the Super NES Classic. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellis, joined as always by my co-host Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
Great, Patrick. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm a little tired.
Mm-hmm.
I've been traveling this weekend. Been on a couple planes in a couple days.
You rolled up to this recording session just mere minutes before we were set to go.
That's right. I landed and Mark was there at the Hollywood Burbank Airport with a microphone and said, "Patrick, we got to start the show right now."
Wait, the Hollywood Burbank Airport? What is this?
That's what they're calling it now.
Why?
I don't know.
That
No one
feels
like
like
calling it Bob
lying.
Hope,
Yeah.
right? It's not in Hollywood.
Not at all.
It is in Burbank. That part's
That
accurate.
part's true. We're both a little excited because we're changing things up a bit.
Switching up the format. Look, this week you're not going to get one episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. You're going to get two. We're splitting up news and feature, right?
Yeah, we're gonna try.
That's the easiest pitch there for that.
Yeah. So this episode will be the news that you crave, and Thursday's episode will be the main topic that you love.
Right. And we're going to do our best to look. We know that all you really want to hear is a 433.
Yeah, we get it.
We get it. We know that that's all you want to hear. And we'll still have that feature and most of our features, but forgive us if it's a little bit bumpy. We are still sort of figuring out the ropes, but enough preemptive apologies. Mark, weather report. We got to do the weather.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's hot.
It's hot. Oh man, it is hot.
It was high upper 90s.
I mean, I was in
know.
Wisconsin. I don't know.
Give us the Wisconsin. Everybody's sick of Los Angeles weather. We're switching up the format. Give us that hot.
I was all
Wisconsin weather.
Hot weather goss. Is that what you were gonna say?
Was what I was gonna say.
You don't you dare back down from that.
I did. You said it, not me.
I know. So I was all up and down the state of Wisconsin, from as far north as Door County to the very southeast corner of the state where I am from, Kenosha. And it was in the 60s and 70s, occasionally in the 50s, like cool at night. It rained a couple times. I know. It was like,
Is it humid there?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is humid there. So even like the days where it was like low 70s, there was a lot of humidity and it was uncomfortable. But preferable to what I'm experiencing here. Look, the heat's supposed to break in just a couple days.
Yeah, but I actually kind of like this. For those of you who are not in Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're like switching up where maybe we'll just randomly pick a place
That's great.
to get weather about next week.
Perfect. So if you have any suggestions for where you want to hear about the weather,
Yeah, like if you want to hear the weather at your place.
yeah, send us an email, NintendoCartridgeSociety
At gmail.com.
We are relying on you for this. Mark, let's talk about what we've been playing this last week.
So we wrapped up our playthrough of Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest.
That's right.
You can download and listen to our entire playthrough. I think it ended up being 6 episodes,
Five or
something like
six
that. 5 or
parts,
6
yeah.
episodes. And now, I guess before we weren't talking about it very much because we wanted to avoid spoilers, but I think it's fair to say that we did not enjoy this game.
I mean, we come around on it a little bit by the end.
Yes, by the end, but that's because that's when they threw out all their best ideas.
Yes, for sure.
They
And
went for broke in that last 2 levels or last level or so.
yeah, also I think you and I just felt more free when we were done with it.
Or well, especially when the end was in sight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Because for the most of the game, we did not really like it. Although I am really I burped so loud. I'm so sorry. I'm really taking to your theory that it's a stealth Battletoads sequel. That makes like so much sense to me. When after you said that and we were playing it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. So if you want to hear more about that, you should listen to our playthrough.
Yeah, and definitely in that last episode, I feel like we're being very funny. I feel like it's a good episode. So if like I would understand if people have been skipping them in the past if like you're not actually playing the game, but go back and listen to our last episode of DKC2. It's pretty funny.
I also downloaded and played through once Cave Story Plus
Okay,
on
so
the Nintendo Switch.
tell me why you're emphasizing once that you played through
Oh,
it
okay,
once.
because I'm the type of person who I usually play a game and I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Like I beat it, I've completed it, I feel no need to return.
Yeah.
And with Cave Story, which I had never played before, it's available on a million formats. You can download it for free on the PC. Like there
Right.
are so many opportunities to play the game, and I have avoided it for the past, like just not done it. So Cave Story was completely new to me, and it's really great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
Tell me more about Cave Story. I don't know about Cave Story.
so it's kind of like it was made by one person.
Okay.
Over a course of like 5 years. It was a Japanese developer, and it in my mind, and this may not be true, just because I remember hearing about it when I became more aware of indie games, it seems like it really kicked off uh like indie game development.
Sure.
But it's kind of a Metroidvania type game where
Which,
you play
talking my
as
language, yeah.
where you play as like a robot who is in this world, and you're just like going through different levels. Like there's an egg level, a sand level, like grasslands level.
Are they like procedurally generated levels or are they
Mm-mm.
okay?
No. There's a hub world that you
Mhm.
keep returning to, and then you teleport to these levels, and you will revisit them multiple times as you get new abilities and things like that. It was so much fun, and like it controls really well. It looks and sounds great. The soundtrack is amazing, and you can choose from like 4 different versions of the soundtrack.
Sure, it's
Um,
been around long enough that
yeah,
yeah.
and it's really fun.
That's what that plus means.
Yeah, exactly. It's really fun in portable mode. For someone like me who has never played Cave Story before, I think $30 is totally reasonable.
Yeah.
If you have picked it up on multiple platforms, and so this is like the 6th time you would be buying it, I can see how if you picked it up digitally like me, $30 would seem like a lot.
Yeah, but you're getting a lot of like value out of it.
Totally.
Otherwise.
I mean, I think it took me maybe 5 or 6 hours to play through the first time, but I got to the end, and I immediately wanted to go back and start again because
Oh, interesting.
there are so many different ways that you can play it. Like there's weapons that I had missed because I had different interactions with NPCs than other people did. It's really cool. I have you've never played Cave Story,
I've
right?
never played it. Yeah.
I totally recommend it.
All
I
right.
think you would like it a lot.
Then I will. I mean, all you really have to say to me is Metroidvania, and I'm like, ooh, maybe that's a game for me. Speaking of maybe that's a game for me, I have been playing ARMS.
Yeah,
after
how
not
was
playing
that?
it all last week. So I still have yet to sink any real time into playing without the motion controls. I again I was traveling a lot this weekend, and I just every time I put it on to play in handheld mode, I was like, it doesn't feel right. The motion controls are so responsive, and like I don't want to, especially on like a plane, I don't want to like set it up in the little kickstand and then like be kind of punching at the screen, while I'm sitting next to a stranger. But in the privacy of my own living room, it's a lot of fun. Um,
Have you mostly been doing like the single player like tournament thing?
yeah, and have cleared it on the first 3 difficulty levels with Springman, Ribbon Girl, and whoever the one next to Ribbon Girl is. I'm kind of just going through it slowly, learning the game, rather than because like when I was doing it in the test punch, I felt like I was just doing whatever, throwing punches, jumping around. And when you treat the game more like a competitive punch out instead of like just a regular fighting game, that it like that's sort of where it opens up and becomes like a deeper strategy game. And I keep doing this like comparing it to fighting games and being like, it is a fighting game, it's not a fighting game. And I think like that's where it's most unique is when you can treat it like something that is neither fully fighting game nor fully not fighting game. So I'll be talking about ARMS probably for the next couple weeks. I don't ever really want to do like hours at a time, but to do like once through the circuit or like hop online and do a couple fights, it's really fun.
Yeah, have you been playing online?
Not a lot. Again, traveling a lot. And super fun to have the Switch with me, but like I'm not always near reliable Wi-Fi. So
The weird thing with my brief experience with ARMS during the test punch was that normally I think of motion controls as being compromising, like it like compromises the how accurate like the accuracy of a game. And I felt with ARMS that motion controls were the better option if you're
yeah,
able to use
that's where
them.
you've got like the nuance in like curving punches and like as soon as I think the only thing you need to really like wrap your head around to make the motion controls work is that like a normal like straight punch you have to really do straight. Even though like I don't know for whatever I've never actually been in a fight, but
I haven't either.
in my mind when I punch someone, I'm like I've got like a little bit of like a curve to it, right? Like I'm not doing a straight jab. I don't know what do you call it? Like a hook?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds right.
And in my mind, all punches are hooks. And when you do that in ARMS, like you get that sort of arc of the attack, which isn't always what you want to do. So as soon as I got it in my head that like my punches need to be more jabby to be straight and more hooky to have those curves, then it like unlocked a lot of it for me.
Can we have a sidebar for just a second?
Absolutely.
Do you think we're outliers for having never been in like a traditional fist fight?
Geez. No, not really. I think people avoid fighting. And I don't think like it counts if you like wrestled with your friends when you were little.
No. I'm talking like somebody approaches you in a bar and is like, "Stop talking to my girl," and you're like, "No." And then
your
like,
girl is mine.
Yeah.
She's going to listen to my inane opinions. Yeah, I've never been in that kind of fight.
Me either. So weird.
If you've been in a fight, you can send us an email at NintendoCartridgeSociety at gmail.com. We'd love to hear about it. I also played a bunch of Box Boy on the plane.
OG Box Boy?
OG Box Boy. Box Boy. Man, that game is fun and super cool. And I'm slowly making my way through it. I don't know that I'm going to revisit it, other than I'll be on another plane in a couple weeks. So maybe I'll finish it and download the second one and just like work my way through the series. They're good games. But so that's enough of what we played last week. Now let's talk about what we might be playing next week. It's time for the new releases.
So coming out today
Yeah.
for the 3DS is RPG Maker. Is it Fez?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm thinking it's like Fez like the hat.
Yeah, it's got to be Fez like the hat.
Right.
I
Or
mean,
the
I'm
place.
certain it's not. I mean, whatever it is, RPG Maker is coming out on the 3DS.
Comes out today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to be picking it up, but I am interested in downloading. I think from the eShop, you download basically like the player, so you can play other people's RPGs.
Yeah. So cool. That's such a cool feature. And like it's something that I wish there would have been for Mario Maker, even though I think people liked playing Mario levels more than they liked playing them, or playing them more than they liked making them. But man, that would have been a cool thing.
That would have
if
been
just,
really
like,
cool.
Everyone could have played them.
On Thursday, June 29th, Mighty Gunvolt Burst is coming out on the 3DS eShop. Demambo is coming out on the Switch eShop. Goner, which was supposed to come out a few weeks ago, got delayed, but is, I believe, supposed to come out on Thursday this week. And then the Neo Geo game of the week is Magical Drop 2.
So just to double check,
Yeah,
we got this revised release date for Goner. Still no word on Pocket Rumble.
Oh,
what?
Okay, so the developer said that, and I didn't put this in news. I guess because I'm an idiot.
Because you don't know me at all.
And if I don't know you by now.
Yeah. Yeah, that ship has sailed.
Oh man, I'm gonna butcher this so bad. So if you happen to be the developer or know what they said, but I'm pretty sure it was basically like they were having certification issues, and I believe it was revolving around online or something like that. So they're working through those. They don't have like a planned release date. But they are still definitely planning on bringing it to the Switch.
That's interesting. I know that that thing's online runs on GPO, which is the same like online fighting client that like Skullgirls and the Street Fighter 3 re-release used, and that it's so cool what this thing does. It anticipates what it thinks you're going to do next, and like communicates that to the other player ahead of you doing it. And if you don't do what it anticipates you doing, then that's when there's like a little hiccup in it. But it's so good at predicting what you're going to do that you perceive very little lag in online play.
That is really cool.
Yeah. But Goner, that's exciting. I'm excited to play that game. It looks neat.
And then, of course, on Friday, June 30th, is the first Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild downloadable content pack, the Master Trials.
So, have you purchased this thing yet?
No, I'll probably purchase it because if I was going to purchase it, I feel like I should have done it before. I mean, I am going to purchase it, but if I was going to purchase it ahead of time, I figured I should have purchased it before I started the game. You know, when like
to get that sweet Switch shirt.
Yeah,
I put on the shirt every now and then, just for fun.
Oh, you did buy it?
I did buy it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't buy it like the day it came out, but maybe like a week later when I was like, oh yes, I am in love with this game. Maybe one of the best games ever made.
Does it have does the Switch shirt have any special properties?
No. And it cannot be upgraded, and its armor is real bad. But there are few things funnier than making Link run around in his boxer briefs, this Switch shirt, and the Lionel mask. It's very confusing. But I'm excited for, not that I've really put the game down at any point, but I'm excited for another reason to go back in and really play some more.
Yeah, I've been really surprised at how much, like I was talking about earlier, I'm mostly like a one and done with games, and I've been really surprised at how much I enjoy just being in the world of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for the Korok mask because
to
help me like find the Korok seeds. I'm excited for like being able to get new armors.
Yeah.
Is that in this update or is that in just the Champions update?
That's a good question.
I think there are some in this update.
Yeah. Like the Phantom and
like
Majora's Mask and
Tingle and stuff, right?
Yeah, Tingle.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'm really looking forward to the Hero's Journey mode. Is that what it's called? Hero's Path.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to seeing where I haven't been yet, because I know that there are areas on the map that I haven't really thoroughly explored.
Yeah. Do you ever do that where like you just start walking around somewhere and you're like, this is all familiar. Wait, where am I?
Well, what I found when I was playing, I guess not this past week because I didn't really play Zelda this past week, but the week before, was there were areas that I had encountered early in the game that I didn't thoroughly explore because I wasn't leveled up.
Yeah.
And so they're basically like whole new areas because I can get to places that I couldn't really get before.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's been really fun.
Or places that like you ran through because you were getting beat up by stuff, and then you go back and it's just like, oh, this is nothing. I'm fine.
It's really funny how like combat is not super great in Breath of the Wild, or I mean it's serviceable, but I don't enjoy encounters for the most part. And so it's really fun to be at a level where you can play a lot of this game and never have to like fight anybody.
Yeah. I also really like having the resources to like just glide into an enemy encampment and just like start stealth killing guys and picking them off in the air with like Revali's Gale and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I could continue to play this game forever, and it's exciting that there will be more new stuff to do.
And so that comes out on Friday, and of course, you have to buy all the DLC together for $20. that'll include this pack and then the one coming this fall. You can't buy them separately, which is like a thing Nintendo did with Mario Kart as well.
No, actually not true. So you could buy the Mario Kart packs. There were 2 track packs, and you could buy them separately. But if you bought them together right away, then you also got 8 extra colors of Shy Guy and 8 extra colors of Yoshi. But they were still like each pack was 2 circuits. So like you couldn't buy individual tracks or individual circuits. You still had to buy them like in pairs.
Oh, I see. But yeah, $20 more for more Zelda. I'm more than willing to pay that.
Oh yeah, I'm way into it. Now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, I'd like to talk to you today about bugs. Bugs, insects, creepy crawlies, buzzing around. I was in Wisconsin this week and at a like a wedding, but it wasn't actually a wedding, up in the wilderness of Wisconsin at a lodge, and there were bugs everywhere. I got bitten up. I've been scratching my bites, which is bad news because now I've got, just like under skin parts showing. We don't have bugs in Southern California.
We don't have that bad. Like we don't have mosquitoes really.
Yeah, and maybe that's my chief complaint among bugs is mosquitoes. What are you doing, mosquitoes? Get out of here.
So do we count spiders as bugs? Or are spiders a whole nother topic? Because bugs in general, I mean, I don't love them, but they don't really, like, I don't get creeped out by them. Some people are just, like, really creeped out by bugs.
Sure.
Whatever. I can deal with bugs.
Uh-huh.
Spiders, those really creep me out.
Spiders are a no-go for you.
Spiders are like snakes, whatever. Like
Wait,
bugs,
hold
whatever.
Hold on. Snakes, that is definitely a different topic.
I know, but I just say, like, okay, you're right. We're not talking about fears in general.
Right.
We're not talking about people's phobias.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. So bug-wise...
Commitment.
Yeah, bugs... Mosquitoes are the worst. But yeah, in LA, we don't really get a ton of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Why is that? Is because we're in a desert and
we're
no
in a
life
desert.
should be here?
That's right. I think that's right. I think there are parts of LA that get bad cockroaches or large cockroaches, but most of my cockroach experience, and I'm saying that, that's a sentence that just came out of my mouth. Most of my cockroach experience was when I lived in Hawaii. And there were cockroaches sometimes at the hotel that I worked at. And there was once a cockroach so big that your instinct when you see a cockroach is always crush it, right? Like, kill it. And so I stepped on it with my foot.
Oh, no.
But it was so big
that it picked you up and threw you?
Yeah, that's right. Threw me into the Pacific Ocean. No, that, I... stepped down and could hear the crunch, and then fell on its
that's so gross.
Its slimy bug guts.
That's so gross. I had an aunt and uncle who lived in Hawaii for a time, and my mom would go out to visit them and stuff, and yeah, the horror stories of the giant bugs that live there.
They're so big.
What?
And no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like anywhere that it's tropical, where we don't really know what's living there, it's like Jurassic Park, but sometimes with more racism.
Yeah, okay. That's right. The jungle is like Jurassic Park, but probably more racist. I buy that.
Those parts of the world where you're just anything could be living here. Again, not to go back to spiders, but did you hear about in South America there was that photographer who was just taking photos and then walking backwards and tripped and he
Uh-huh.
thought it was like a dog or puppy or something, but it was just a spider that
Oh,
large.
was it one of those Goliath bird-eating spiders?
Why? Why do those exist? But no, it was like hairy, and so it would rub its front mandibles together, and the photographer wasn't sure what it was doing, but it was shooting like little spore. It was trying to shoot little spores into his eyes to like irritate him, because that's how it caught prey.
Ugh, spider, come on. Okay, so spider. We're not talking about spiders.
Okay,
right now.
fine,
We're
bugs.
talking about bugs.
So spiders are not bugs?
I mean, they're a different.
They're arachnids.
They're arachnids, right?
Uh-huh.
They're more closely related to like scorpions and stuff like that.
Okay, and the bugs we're talking about
are just insects.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know what that
Genus
division
or whatever.
is called. Yeah. But scorpions are also scary.
I've never been in a situation where they've always been like contained.
Sure.
So I'm just like, yeah, that's gross. I imagine seeing them in real life would be scary.
So my sister and her family lived in the deserts of California for a little while, and they had scorpions. And one of the things that they said to me when I went to visit them was like, occasionally you should, anytime you're about to put shoes on, you should.
Oh, why?
I know, right? You should check to make sure there's no scorpion in the bottom of your shoe.
Shouldn't somebody like invent something that you put like
A scorpion-proof shoe?
Yeah, or yes, like a net that you put over your shoes once you take them off, so scorpions can't get inside.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a great product. We should get on that.
Maybe they have like what do you call it? Like elastic around the side, you know?
Yeah, I mean you
it's,
could
it's
really
basically like a doily that you just like.
Yeah, doesn't like Glad Wrap make those kind of things?
Yeah,
It's just that, or a shower cap.
And
Use
then
a shower cap.
And then if there's like a
Hey,
hole,
desert folk.
if there's like a hole in it,
Right.
and you're like, oh, a scorpion got in there, I should be concerned. These are just free ideas.
Right. Anyone can use these ideas. Generally speaking, bugs don't bother me. I'm not like grossed out by
When
them.
you see a cockroach, are you like, are you freaked out?
No. If anything, I get that weird. Well, I guess we will never know what I get that's weird. Mark, let's move on to the news. Still working out the kinks.
Obviously, the big news for the week is the Super NES Classic Edition was announced this morning for the US and Europe, coming September 29th for $79.99, which is $20 more than the NES Classic.
Let's hit a few more bullet points and then broad thoughts on this.
Okay.
This thing has 21 games.
That's right. Nintendo says it will make, and the NES Classic had 30.
Yes.
A lot of those were garbage, though.
Sure.
Nintendo says it will. So they've promised that they're going to make significantly more of these than they did the NES Classics, without providing any sort of numbers. And I believe them because they're releasing this in September. So this is clearly meant to sell throughout the fall of the holiday season.
Sure.
But they've also said that they're only planning on releasing these in 2017.
So this is it. Whatever they release, it'll be like the NES Classic, just maybe not as severe.
Well, so here's what I think is going to happen: is they're going to release a chunk of them at the end of September,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're going to release the next massive release will be Black Friday, and then after that, good luck. You know, like there probably won't be any. There might be a few shipments before Christmas, but it's not going to be like
it's the Cabbage Patch Kid. It's the Tickle Me Elmo.
Yeah, they're being cruel and ruthless because one of the games, there's 21 games, and one of them is the previously unreleased Star Fox 2.
Right, but like known about forever.
Finished,
Mm-hmm.
canceled.
Mm-hmm.
It existed. A early ROM of it was like out on the web.
Yeah, I mean
a few years ago.
Star Fox 2 is like in the like Nintendo canon of lost games.
I would say video game canon of
Yeah,
lost
sure.
games, where it's just like here's a game that we heard about, was ready for release, and then unceremoniously canceled.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess there's no way to know why it was canceled, but like
I think it was I think it really was because the Nintendo 64 was coming out.
Sure. And they just needed to, like, if everything else is going to be, like, still very low poly, but, like, more polished polygons than what we were seeing in Star Fox, that, like, Star Fox looks weird now, right? And if there's just a sequel to that is more of that, I could see that being, like, a hard thing for them to justify selling.
And
competing.
the interesting thing is, it sounds like, or Nintendo has been telling people that you have to complete the first level of original Star Fox in order to unlock Star Fox 2.
Which, fine, whatever.
Yeah, great.
Why are you doing this?
So I think even in the European boxes, it says like 20 games plus 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is cute.
So should we go through the games?
We'll hit just a couple other things. The system comes with 2 controllers, and it seems like they've addressed a little bit the length of the cords. The controller cords are going to be 5 feet long instead of the, like, 3-ish feet that the NES Classic controllers
And
were.
having it come with 2 controllers is interesting.
It's interesting. It makes me wonder why they didn't do that with the NES Classic in the first place.
I mean, I think they learned a lot from the NES Classic.
One would hope.
All right, so the games are for the most part pretty stellar, and it's like a good selection of the Super Nintendo games.
Let's jam through the list and then just talk about what we like on there.
So we have Contra 3: The Alien Wars,
Mm-hmm.
Donkey Kong Country, Earthbound, Final Fantasy 3, also known as Final Fantasy 6, F-Zero, Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Course, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Mega Man X, Secret of Mana, Star Fox, Star Fox 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting, Super Castlevania 4, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out, and Yoshi's Island.
So a lot of my favorite games of all time are on this list. What excites you? What do you think is, like, what are you super excited about for on this list?
So I'm super excited for Earthbound.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for Super Castlevania 4. That was the first game I bought on Virtual Console on the Wii.
Oh yeah.
I love this game.
Yeah.
It's my favorite Castlevania game. Super Mario RPG. Again, I'm looking forward to Super Mario World because I love just that's a great game, and
Yeah.
just a dedicated Mario machine. That's basically what my NES Classic turned out to be.
Yeah. Well, and like I've got Super Mario World on my 3DS, and that's the Super Nintendo game that I play on it the most, because it's such a good, like, oh, I just want to play something for a little bit, and having it on a screen with 2 controllers, that's very exciting.
Kirby Superstar is great. I mean, the thing is that I haven't played all of these games. Like Contra 3, I'm not familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting, not really familiar with. I never played Kirby's Dream Course.
But it's good. Kirby's Dream Course is good. I think if for my money, if there are duds in here, it's in Contra, it's in Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Like, I'm not gonna play that. But that's really it. Like, everything else is exciting. It's a little weird, the Street Fighter selection. It's not super. It's yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I was gonna ask you about that because I'm not really familiar with the ins and outs of the different versions of Street Fighter 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the Super Famicom Mini was announced for Japan.
Oh, okay.
To come out on October 5th. And one of the titles that's different is they don't have the Street Fighter 2 Turbo. They do have Super Street Fighter 2. And I don't really know what the difference between those 2 games are.
So the difference is it's a difference of 4 characters. Cammy, Fei Long, T-Hawk, and DJ were introduced in Super, and they just aren't in. So there'll be 12 characters in Street Fighter 2 Turbo, like the original 8 plus the 4 bosses.
And so did Turbo come out before Super Street Fighter 2?
Yes. Yeah. That's the old Capcom counting method of Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2, and so on.
So I don't know if maybe, like, both divisions looked at sales figures from the Super Nintendo era.
Yeah,
And
that's
we're just
interesting.
like, that's the one that sold best in these regions, so we're going to put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's interesting that the um the Super NES Classic in the US and the Super NES Classic in Europe have the same titles, even though the consoles themselves will look different.
Right, because theirs will look like the Famicom, the Super Famicom.
So it also means that games that have never officially been released or that were not officially released in Europe during the Super Nintendo era are going to be coming out, are going to be on this. So like Super Mario RPG was never released in Europe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Europe, come on, guys. Get on it. That game's great.
uh
I think this is also really cool just for there's one more good way to purchase and play Final Fantasy 3 or 6. Because, man, if you had to play that game, any of the PlayStation ports of it had terrible loading into the battles, which is just not present on the Super Nintendo. Happens so quick, and that game's so good.
so some big omissions,
Mm-hmm.
or the big one that stands out to me is Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
And as a fan, Dragon Quest, even though it doesn't make sense necessarily for it to be on the Western ones, but
Right.
it's not even on the Super Famicom in Japan.
There are also, Final Fantasy 2 could also be on here, and it is not. Secret of Mana is here, so that's okay. I'd like to see Evermore as well, but I understand everyone has turned a blind eye and forgotten about Secret of Evermore. But yeah, I mean it's a good list. That's a good list they have there.
So the Super Famicom Mini is coming out in Japan on October 5th. All the titles are the same except uh Panadipon or something like that. It's Tetris Attack.
Okay.
Fire Emblem, Mystery of the Emblem, which is Fire Emblem 3,
Mm-hmm.
which was never released in the West. Legend of the Mystical Ninja, Super Soccer, and Super Street Fighter 2. Those
Like
will
we were
all be
saying,
on the
yeah.
Super
Mhm.
Famicom Mini. Not on there is Super Punch Out, the Castlevania 4, Earthbound, Kirby's Dream Course, or Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting.
What is going on with Earthbound? Why why no Earthbound? Why is it like, no, Japan, you don't get Earthbound. Oh, by the way, the West, you don't get Mother 3. You don't get what is effectively Earthbound 2 ever.
Right.
Um that's so weird.
Yeah, I don't. Well, especially because I don't think Earthbound is, uh, like unlike Mother 3. I'm pretty sure Mother 2 is available and has always been available in Japan.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I don't know. That's one of those where it's just like, why not have it?
Yeah, who
Who
knows?
knows? Nintendo moves in mysterious ways.
Um it seems crazy to me that they're putting this thing out. Like I know it makes sense. It's like a machine that makes sense to me, but like I can't believe that now this year 2017 when they've already released the Switch, when they're going to be releasing new 2DS hardware that they're like, "Oh yeah, let's make one more piece of hardware."
Yeah, Nintendo is just destroying everybody this
Oh yeah.
holiday season. And by that I mean like like people trying to get their products.
Right.
Sony's going to be fine, Xbox is going to be fine, but this thing is going, I know they're going to make more, and the optimist in me wants to think that they will make close to enough, right? There's no way they want these just sitting on shelves, but so I don't think they're going to overproduce them. But my hope is that they come closer to matching demand.
Yeah. I mean I also do wonder about like even if they had an accurate snapshot of what demand actually was on the NES Classic, I don't think you can count those as the same numbers for the Super NES Classic. Like I think more people want NES than Super NES.
I think that's true, but then you're doing the math of like, well, again,
Yeah,
like you're saying,
yeah,
like how many would
it's
we
all
have
imaginary
sold?
numbers, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so hard to gauge what demand for this is going to be, because I think you're totally right that the Super NES does not have the same cultural cache as the NES does.
Hmm.
But I also think the NES Classic Edition was one of the hot, hard to get holiday items last year.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so it also has that going for it, where people will be like, I remember hearing about how hard that was to get. They're coming out with a new one.
Right.
I think that helps drive sales. But the other thing is that they don't really want to sell uh, a ton of these, right? Do you know what I mean? What they
want to sell a ton of is
Switches
Switch
and
and 3DS.
3DSs.
Right.
So even if putting a lot of these out there so that way people can go into stores,
Mm-hmm.
but not so much that people can go into stores and just buy one of these and walk away. Instead, go into stores and kind of be like, no, we don't have the Super NES, but you can buy a 3DS or you can buy a Switch. You know what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
it's that thin line. Because again, I don't believe that Nintendo does artificial scarcity,
Right.
but
But
I think they know where their future lies, and it's not in like a $80 ROM box.
right. But I mean, even with I don't know. We'll have more to say about this, I think, as the months go on here.
I've spent all day
Yeah.
refreshing, looking, hoping that anything opens up pre-orders. But if not, I guess we're just
taking off on
Friday.
Friday the 29th again.
I'm glad it's in September and not November for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, so weird. Nintendo, man. It's amazing to me that like we can still, and we like had heard rumblings about this thing. But it's amazing that they can still the week after E3 or whatever just being like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, this thing's coming out this year."
Do you think so? Some people have been upset that there's only 21 games.
It's fine.
And it's costs like $20 more. Yeah, I think it's totally fine too.
Final Fantasy 3, Earthbound, Super Mario RPG. Like those 3 games, each one of those is worth like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, I think they're much better games.
Yeah.
They're much longer games.
Mm-hmm.
They're more involved. I mean, we didn't even mention A Link to the Past.
Right.
As a game that
or
we were
Super Metroid.
Yeah, it's like games that we were excited about. And part of that is because I own it on so many other devices already. But yeah, I and with a second controller, I think for $80, it's very reasonably priced.
You see those controller ports look like the controller ports?
Yeah, but they are not. They will still like they're still Wii plugs.
Oh, interesting.
So what it kind of looks like is that it's a flap. So you will just like push it in, and it's just because they're still the Wii hookups. They're not.
Okay.
They won't work on your old devices. Also, what it looks like is that on the North American ones, they're not. The buttons are convex, not concave like they were originally.
So all of them being the same, you mean? Because
Yes.
the original Super Nintendo controllers, 2 of them were convex and 2 were concave.
Yes, and now they are all convex.
Okay, meaning that they bubble out.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
They are, which I'm assuming...
We were doing little hand motions to confirm with each other that we knew what convex and concave mean.
Yeah.
But we communicate that with you as well, the listener.
But yeah, I am so incredibly excited.
Yeah,
I want one of these so bad.
It's going to look great on the shelf next to the NES Classic.
That's basically what we've been saying since the NES Classic was announced was, yeah, this is great, but what I really want.
That's right.
And now, do you think next year we can look forward to the
Super NES? Or the Nintendo
64 Mini?
I don't think so. I mean,
Why
I don't know.
At this point, it's not like storage is a problem, like storage space.
Right. I mean, I think... So this thing has good third-party support. Or pretty good third-party support, and I just there isn't that much of it for the. What do I know? Like maybe there will be.
Well, it's also hard because a lot of the classic games that we would expect to be on there are tied up in weird legal things with Rare and now Microsoft.
Sure.
It's like, what can we get Banjo-Kazooie? Which
Probably
can
not.
you get GoldenEye on there? Like things like that.
That's another license too.
Perfect Dark. So just like Donkey Kong 64. So all that kind of stuff becomes.
They can do
more
Donkey Kong. They've re-released Donkey Kong 64 on other platforms. In fact, recently Donkey Kong 64 came out on the Wii U Virtual Console. So.
Well, I look forward to camping out in line.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It'll be good.
ARMS version 1.1.0 was released this weekend. It added that arena mode which allows for spectators,
Mm-hmm.
and it added LAN support.
I didn't notice any new features.
Sumo Digital also released an update for Snake Pass that introduced time trials and leaderboards, but some players are experiencing an issue causing excessive rumble in their Joy-Cons, which I believe was an issue when the game was first released on Switch.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And they released a patch shortly after that.
Oh, someone is not saving their versions with new dates.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Also, I don't know if you have the game on your Switch still, but it changed the icon.
I did notice that.
So it's like a big old face of what was the snake's name? Like Noodle?
Yes, Noodle is correct.
I
was gonna say
I just thought that was
Ropey.
interesting.
Noodle is a better name.
If you're holding out to pick up NBA Playgrounds until online multiplayer is patched in, it seems like you could be in for a bit of a wait. So the patch is, according to Saber Interactive, the patch is ready to go. Like, it's done.
Okay.
They seem to be having some trouble with Nintendo in that the patch is too big for what Nintendo has prepared for.
Okay.
And so they had to get approval, first of all, to make a patch that big. And now it sounds like there's no system for them to deploy a patch that large.
That's weird, right?
So
they're just working on now making this patch smaller?
No, it seems like they're just in limbo with Nintendo. And the resolution is unknown, whether it's going, and
Yeah.
I'm purely speculating whether it's breaking up the patches, which I don't even know if is technically feasible and probably expensive, because I'm sure, one, you'd have to reconstruct the patches, and two, I'm fairly confident that developers pay per patch.
But also, why not? If you can download all of Zelda, is the patch larger than Breath of the Wild?
No, I'm guessing it's the same sort of thing that Microsoft had in place on the Xbox 360, where it was your patches can't be bigger than 300 megabytes or whatever it was. It was just a limitation that they had in place. That way patches couldn't be huge. That has obviously gone away because now first day patches are larger than the game itself sometimes.
Right, all the time.
But that is a lot of just speculation on my part, because obviously Saber Interactive isn't going to cross Nintendo and really
just put it out anyway.
Or just they're not going to go into super detail about what's going on.
Yeah, sure.
And Nintendo hasn't said anything. But so it's ready to go. It's just kind of in limbo.
Weird.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. At a post E3 event in Europe, Battle Sports Mikuru, that game where robots stomp their butts to flip the tiles over into different colors.
That's right.
It was playable under the title Flip Wars, and we knew the title was going to change from what it was released as in Japan. But so maybe the new title for this is Flip Wars.
Profoundly not excited about this game.
It's weird, right? It looks like one of those tech demos that Nintendo talks about that eventually sometimes get turned into bigger games. Only this one didn't.
I mean, it looks like Star Fox Guard to me. Is totally what it looks. The same caliber of game with here's one sort of interesting mechanic. We polish it up as best we could, but we have to apologize for it by packing it with another game. You know what I mean?
And in this case, just will be released on the eShop this summer.
Right.
Probably for $10 or something.
Which it in retrospect would be a fine way to have released Star Fox Guard separate from Zero. You have some faith in those ideas. You can release small games.
Final Fantasy 14 producer. Oh man. Do you want to take a shot at this?
Yoshida?
Yeah.
Yoshida?
That sounds good. Yeah, I like that. Once again expressed interest in bringing the game to Switch, but stressed the importance of having crossplay available.
So when you say the game, that's Final Fantasy 14, the MMO. Yeah.
That's right. And so Final Fantasy 14 is already on the PS4, and given Sony's current stance on crossplay, meaning they don't allow it.
They do not allow it.
It seems really unlikely that it will be coming to any console in the near future, if ever.
I mean, I think the people who are playing Final Fantasy 14 have their platforms for playing that
Sure,
already.
but I mean, just like Dragon Quest 10,
Mm-hmm.
will, it was released on the Wii, was released on the Wii U, and will be coming to the Switch. It's just nice to be able to play it on any platform that you have, I think.
No, that's fair.
Um, Last week, Nintendo released a statement on their Japanese website apologizing for Switch shortages.
So Japanese.
While they continue to ship systems each week, they promised increased shipments in July and August, including the Splatoon 2 bundle, and production will increase further in the fall.
Right, as they are also releasing new hardware in the form of the Super NES Classic.
It is very Japanese
Yeah.
to apologize for the shortages.
Right, to apologize for the shortages and be like, we didn't expect to be so popular. Come on, yes, you did.
It's interesting that demand obviously is really high for the Switch.
Mhm.
They're not meeting demand anywhere. In Japan, people are lining up for the chance to like win in a raffle. So basically, like, you line up at a store, you get your lottery ticket, they do a raffle, and if your number's called, then you're able to buy a Switch. That's how like limited the supply is currently.
Well, with time, man.
I mean, you have to almost wonder if they're like, oh, maybe we should have held Splatoon 2 for when we have more supply.
Yeah.
Or maybe they've been trying to like stockpile it while still releasing, like 50,000 consoles.
Yeah, every couple weeks.
Every like week, but
Uh-huh.
also trying to like stockpile for when Splatoon 2 comes out, cuz I think it's going to be a global hit obviously, but in Japan,
It is a
I don't think
much
they'd
bigger
be able
hit,
to
yeah.
make enough Switches.
And they will not have enough for October 27 when Mario Odyssey comes out.
And they have and then they're doing special hardware in Japan for the Switch. Plus they're doing special hardware for Monster Hunter just 1 month later.
I mean, good luck to them, I guess.
Yeah, if you have not got a Switch and you want to get one for Christmas, you should be looking now.
For sure. And the thing is, like, I don't even know what advice you could give to someone who's looking now. Like, check every day. Like, I don't know. There's no more like hard and fast. Like, here's a day. Here's a pre-order day.
There seems to be a website. It's like iStock Now or iStock something.
There are a couple websites like
and
that.
People have had success by going there and turning on notifications, and then as soon as the notification comes in, like calling the store. So if you're looking for a Switch, that might be and you're in the US, that might be the best option.
Nowinstock.net is a good one.
Yeah.
That you can choose like what retailers and what accessories or whatever bundle comes with it. So that's nowinstock.net.
When they were announced, no release date was included for Metroid Prime 4 and the Pokemon RPG coming to Switch. But comments made by Nintendo of America Corporate Communications Director Charlie Zabetta.
Sure. It's not Japanese. I don't have a good guess.
Indicate it may be as early as next year. So this is what he said. He said, quote, "We've announced a nice lineup through this year, and next year we have some big games coming with Metroid 4. 2018 will be around Metroid, Kirby, Yoshi. New Pokemon game has been announced. We feel good about the lineup for this year and beyond."
So that could either be something or not, right?
Yeah.
Like he may just be extrapolating from what information he has. But I also would not be like, we didn't see anything for Pokemon Switch, and all we saw for Prime 4 was a logo. But I would be willing to believe that both those games are further along in development than we believe them to be.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's definitely possible. Obviously, both these games, if they come out in 2018, would be holiday titles. They'd be like end of year, it seems like.
Yeah.
And I am not expecting either of these games to come out.
No, neither am I.
But it would be cool to see like at least one of them.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I would be excited about it and I think they've been working on them for a while, but I still don't expect to see them until like 2019. Maybe one of them for holiday. And if there is, which one do you think comes out first?
I feel like Pokemon is more like clockwork, where they have a title a year, and if they're doing Ultra Sun and Moon on 3DS, then if they have something for next year, I mean, or maybe it's Stars next year. Who knows?
Sure.
Maybe it's another version of Pokemon Sun and Moon. I don't know. What do you think?
I think Prime, just because I suspect that it's further along than we think it is. Pokemon, for them to be like, I don't know, we need to announce this somehow. Interview a dude at his desk. They don't even have like bad art mocked up for it. I always think that Nintendo is working on stuff that they're not telling us about, and that they tend not to, with a few rare exceptions, they tend not to announce things until they're, sort of close to being ready. Obviously, that wasn't the case with Zelda, but we're seeing like Mario Odyssey is going to come out within, what we saw at first at the event in January.
But we didn't really see much about it until E3.
Yeah, and then it's coming out this year in October. So that's less than a year from reveal to launch, and that's one of their biggest brands, one of their biggest IP. They just like to pop it out and have it there. Yeah.
Finally, last week Nintendo released Switch firmware version 3.0.
All right.
It adds like a bunch of new features, like it allows you to add friends from the 3DS and Wii U. There's some new Splatoon 2 user icons, fix for HDMI input issues, like people were docking it when it was in sleep mode and it would turn on their TV.
Right.
So that's supposed to help fix that. Things like a volume slider on the quick settings menu, which is actually super nice to have. It boosted the overall system, the sound level for the system.
Right, so it's a little bit louder.
And you can follow specific games and news now, and like and dislike posts. And there's a new feature that helps you find lost Joy-Con.
Yeah, it makes them buzz. Yeah, it's cute.
And there's a bunch of other just like small features and refinements. It's nice to see them. There was somebody posted a video, and I don't think this was something new, but just something I'd never seen before, where the tones that the Switch makes when you're selecting things change. What would you call that? Like they go deeper, or
the pitch.
Pitch changes depending on how like much you're pressing, not like how deep, how much surface area. Yeah, the more you press, the deeper the tone goes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, that's one of those like awesome, fun little like Nintendo things.
Yeah,
that I had never noticed before.
We may get system music on this thing yet. All right, so that's gonna do it for this news-only episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. We're still stumbling through the forums, so forgive us. We will be back on Thursday to discuss Capcom's role in Nintendo platforms.
That's right. It's a celebration of Capcom on Nintendo.
And maybe at parts not a celebration, a condemnation. Anyway, you should follow us on Twitter. We are at NinCartSociety, and check out the Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society.
Let us know what you think about this new format, and now that you've seen half of it.
Right. Or wait until Thursday and let us know what you think of the whole thing. We'd love for you to rate and review us on iTunes. That'd be great. If you have a second, check out retconpunch.com. Mark and I write about comic books there. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can go to his website, which is 8bitbetty.com, for more of his music, or you can listen right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?